Man, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Pastor Eric Brown with Daily Manna for your souls. Happy Monday to you. I pray the Lord is blessing you real good right now. Look, just want to bring you a word of encouragement, something to help you along your way. And today that word is your pain is their gain. Well, can I tell you, the Bible lets us know that a man, a woman, boy or girl, born of a woman, his life is short and full of trouble. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to worry about it, but you will find it. Trouble will be in your way. Sometimes days are rainy. There is no sunshine. There is nothing but pain, but that's okay because your pain is a testimony to those that see you that God is still good to you. It is a testimony when you come through trouble and strife that God is walking with you and you are walking with God. You know, a lot of people think that the Christian life is supposed to be a life full of prosperity, full of blessings, full of no lack, nothing wrong. But I'm here to tell you, we experience those days because God truly wants us to prosper, even as our soul prospers. But there are times when we go through, and it's the times that we go through that we see the evidence of God in our lives the best. Oh, yeah, anybody can praise God for getting a new car. Anybody can praise God for getting a new job or a new house or some extra money in the bank. But can you praise God in the midst of your problems? Can you give God the glory in the midst of going through? Can you be approachable? Can you be approachable when you're dealing with some stuff? That's what people are looking for. They're looking for a difference between the Christian life and the worldly life. Because people in the world would be happy to win something or to gain something. But what do you do when you're going through? You need to get to a place where your pain becomes somebody else's gain because they see you dealing with the problems of life and still giving God the glory. They're going to want to know what you got. You know, I'm reminded of the Apostle Paul over there in Acts chapters 27 and 28. In chapter 27, Paul is dealing with a shipwreck, but God has promised him that no lives will be lost if they just stay with the ship. And sure enough, they stayed with the ship. Paul convinced them to stay with the ship, even though the ship was broken up. But they made it. They made it, and they washed up on the shore of an island called Malta. And as the people of Malta saw them coming out of the sea after being shipwrecked, and they began to help them, they began to look around and pay attention to the different ones. And there were soldiers, there were centurions, and there were prisoners, but they all had came out of the sea. So that was a good thing. But you know what really moved those people was this: as they watched them, Paul was helping out. Paul did not identify himself as Apostle Paul. He did not identify himself as a preacher of the gospel. He did not identify himself as nothing but somebody who was glad to be alive, blessed to be saved by God, and blessed to still be amongst the land of the living. So Paul just jumped in and was helping gather wood and start a fire. And as Paul was placing another log on the fire, up from the fire jumped a poisonous viper and latched onto his hand. Now to Paul, all Paul did was shake it off in the fire and keep on going. But to those people of Malta, they looked. And they knew what kind of snake it was. And they knew that was a drop and fall snake. He bit you and you were going to drop and fall because that was a very poisonous snake. You were going to swell up and all these other things were going to happen. Your bodily functions were going to cease and you were soon to die. And they looked at Paul and they said, he must be a murderer because even though the sea didn't kill him, the gods are still after him. And now he's going to surely die because he was bitten by this poisonous snake. I'm here to tell you, Paul should have been in some pain. He should have been in some discomfort. But Paul, through faith, just shook it off and kept on going. And they looked at Paul, waiting for him to swell up, waiting for him to fall down, waiting for him to die. And he did not. And then they began to change their opinion of him. I'm here to tell you, it wasn't the fact that he was saved out of the stormy sea from the shipwreck that changed their mind and made them think well of him. It was the fact that they saw something that they knew should have took him out, but it didn't. It didn't take him out. And they changed their opinion of him. They began to think he was a god. Now, he wasn't a god. It's just that he served the true and living God. But watch this. As time went on, as they were still on this island of Malta, as they were still there, there were some people there that were sick. And Paul began to pray the prayer of faith. Paul began to lay hands on people. Paul began to minister to people. And as Paul began to minister to people, God was healing them and raising them up. It was then they knew something was different about him. They thought something was different about him. They was willing to look at him in a different light because they saw that he had been through some things that they knew had took their family members out, that they knew that they had seen people die from that venomous snake's bite, but it didn't get Paul. It had to be something different about him, and that became his testimony. What should have been his moment of pain became a moment of gain for them because they gained a new insight into who the Lord was. And I just want to encourage somebody today that you may be going through, that you may be dealing with some stuff. Stay strong in the Lord. Be of good courage, because what you're going through today, the pain you're going through today, is going to be gained for somebody else. They're going to gain a new perspective on God when they see you still walking through the valley of shadow of death, but you're not fearing evil. They're going to gain a new love for God when they see how everything you've had is gone, but you're still giving God the glory and praise. They're gonna gain a new knowledge of God, to know that God is with you in times of trouble, just like he can be with them in times of trouble. If they just give their lives over to God, they're gonna see your testimony, and they're gonna see you lifting up the Lord. They're gonna see you lifting up Jesus, and gonna want to know, what must they do to be saved? Well, I'm here to tell you, what you're going through may be pain for you, but it's going to be gain for somebody else, because your testimony is going to be the light they need to find Jesus. Look, I want you to be encouraged today. Know that whatever you're going through, you can make it. Know that whatever you're going through, you will make it, because it is your testimony. It is your testimony in the midst of the test. It is the message that you have in the midst of the mess. It is God working it out for you, and it's God working it out through you to bless somebody else. Your pain is their gain. Look, you have an awesome day. You be blessed of the Lord. Peace.